Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Beer Plan. I'm Brian, and this is the ongoing saga of an everyman's ale trail. In this episode, I'll examine a unique hop variety, kick off a chat with Jen and Dan Hain from Fetch Brewing, and review a Pseudo Sue variant from Toppling Goliath. In this segment of Looking for Lupulin, I'm going to go over the top on an experimental variety. Peacherine is a fairly new experimental hop from New Zealand. This hop was developed by Freestyle Hops, and as per their website, they are located in Nelson's thriving artisan community of Upper Moutere, New Zealand, for the world's foremost craft brewers. They grow a number of hop varietals and collaborate directly with craft brewers. Since this hop is so new, I had a bit of trouble finding any information about it on the internet. So I reached out directly to Freestyle Hops to see if I could find out more. Their sales and marketing representative, Catherine, was kind enough to help me fill in on further details of the hop. Peacherine's ultimate parentage is a proprietary tetraploid New Zealand male and a diploid New Zealand female. The Peacherine clone was developed through Freestyle's non-GMO mutational breeding lines. The description from their website says the following. Peacherine has a rich peach nectarine character with an appealing citrus backbone. In the background are hints of sweet fruit, lime zest, and indistinct floral notes. We are still exploring the flavor and aroma spectrum of this new varietal, but our mid to late harvest lots are not likely to ever leave the lineup. Peacherine can easily captivate in a single hop beer, but also pairs well with a wide range of both thiol and terpene-heavy varietals like later harvest New Zealand Cascade. Catherine added that it has an excellent underlying citrus complexity and light tropical notes. Peacherine has an alpha acid content of 9 to 10%. Freestyle does not know what alpha acid retention it has since they never bale and store hops. Instead, all their hops are pelleted within 48 to 72 hours of picking and go into foils in cold storage. Peacherine has a typical yield, though it is too early to give a definite range. Harvest of these hops is easy to average. Peacherine has almost exclusively been used on the cold side in heavily hop-forward styles such as Hazy IPA, Cold IPA, West Coast IPA, New Zealand Pilsners, and the like. If you are homebrewing and can't find this hop, you could use Nectarone as a substitute. Unfortunately, this is another proprietary hop variety, so it is not available for your garden. Thanks again to Catherine and Freestyle for helping me out. In this segment of Homebrew Hijinks, it's time for the next project. As a little background, in early August of 2023, wildfires ravaged the island of Maui. The fires killed over 100 people and destroyed almost 2,000 structures. If you do a Google Map search of Lahaina today and turn on the satellite layer, you can get an idea of the sheer amount of damage that was done. Devastating. Among those destroyed were Kohala Brewing and Waikiki Brewing, both in Lahaina. Maui Brewing, which has 2 locations, one of which is in Lahaina and was not damaged, decided to do something about it. Enter the Kokua Project. The word Kokua means help in Hawaiian. Maui Brewing founder Garrett Marrero says the Kokua Project will be one beer brewed by many to support the people of Maui. Approximately 1 week after the fires, the Kokua Session IPA recipe was made available for download by breweries. A portion of the proceeds of each pint brewed would be donated to support recovery efforts. Since my wife and I had visited Hawaii to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, we fell in love with the islands and I wanted to help. And since it was a widely available recipe, it would be a great opportunity to continue to work on my homebrewing skills and support the Ohana of Hawaii. Enter Hops for Hawaii. Next time, I'll kick off the mash. Now, it's time for Barstool Banter. This episode, I sit down with the husband and wife team, Dan and Jen Hain from Fetch Brewing in Whitehall, Michigan. Listen in as they share how Fetch came about and why they consider it a neighborhood gathering place. Welcome to Barstool Banter. I'm sitting down with Jen and Dan Hain from Fetch Brewing in Whitehall, Michigan. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So can you please tell me what your roles are at the brewery?
Oh boy, we juggle a lot.
So officially our roles are co-owners and manager and brewer. I'm the constant toilet paper purchaser and he's the constant maintenance person
guy, yeah.
and snow shoveler.
Janitor, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the constant marketing person and he's the constant fix-it person. So we just wear a lot of hats because it's the two of us.
Yeah.
So we just do what needs to be done.
We have a full staff that bartends and helps out. That we couldn't do it without them.
And as co-owners, it's really important, I suppose, to have a good team of people behind you as well to make sure that the operation can run smoothly.
Absolutely.
Because you clearly do a lot, but you still can't do everything, right?
No.
Absolutely. Nor do we want to.
Well, I love the Lake Michigan coastline. I have family that lives on the West Coast. I've driven through your small town of Whitehall, where you're located, but I've really never paused to look around.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a really great place to live. Why did you choose that location and how did you get your start there?
It's a good question. We looked for a long time in bigger cities, Muskegon and surrounding areas that would work for us, that was accommodating for patrons that felt safe enough to walk at night when they're by themselves, especially females.
That was our number one criteria was when we were looking for a place is, would a female feel safe walking here by herself at night? Mm-hmm. And if the answer was no, it was completely off the table. And when we were driving around looking for places, mostly in Muskegon and other places, but we lived in Whitehall. So we were leaving Whitehall to go find other locations. And Dan's from Montague, born and raised. I'm just south of Whitehall, born and raised. So we had seen our building and we said, nope, we got to keep looking.
I mean, I went to high school a long time ago and in Montague, and I drove past that building so many times, but it was most of the time vacant. Once in a while, it'd have something in it going on, but not often. Lots of times it was just derelict, just vacant, and nothing was going on. So I didn't really pay attention to it until we really started looking hard. We were at a little, I don't know, a holiday party or something.
Dinner party.
Yeah. And luckily one of our friends, she's a realtor and representing the sellers of that building. And so we met with the sellers and came to an agreement. Mm-hmm. And they were very accommodating. Yeah. So it was hard to pass that up. So we said, I think we got our place.
Yeah.
So
it was a big decision because there was not a brewery in Muskegon yet. Mm-hmm. There were, we opened right around the same time as Pigeon Hill and Unruly, but they hadn't pulled the trigger yet either. So we knew that it would have been a bigger market for us and an easier, I don't want to say easier, but just a different opportunity where we didn't have to really reach out and explain what breweries are because it was just a bigger demographic. Or do we go to the small town, which is a little bit more difficult?
It was.
And there's a learning curve for the community. So it was like our heart was in Whitehall. Our business minds were outside of Whitehall. Mm. Additionally, if we went outside of Whitehall, we would have had to rent our facility. And we really liked the idea of owning our own facility, which we do. We definitely chose on paper the more difficult route, but that's where our hearts were.
That makes a lot of sense. I did see on your website a nice picture of the storefront. Is it like an old bank? Is that what it was at one point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
Yep. Yeah. It was built like over 100 years ago now.
Yeah, 110 years ago now.
Yeah. It was like the booming lumber era.
Yep. They had to store their money someplace.
Yep.
And this was the place.
Yeah.
It was a freestanding building, nothing really around it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that's really unique, I think, to the craft industry is that craft brewers, craft owners are willing to invest in the older infrastructure and rehab something that's historical like that. So I love that whole idea.
Yes.
So is your brewing facility then in the vault?
That would be very small. That would be a homebrew system, if anything.
Yeah, I think my garage homebrew system, I don't barely fit in there. Yeah. No, luckily we have a full basement the whole length of the building. So it's probably 23 feet wide by, it's got to be 75 feet at least. So there's ample room for a good sized cooler and the whole system, and storage for all the grain and kegs and keg washer, and so it works out well.
It does work out well. It makes it a bit unique. Dan had to get creative in putting together the brewing structure because the ceilings are low. And then also it gets a little interesting when we get a pallet of grain delivered, or we have to get kegs upstairs because, I mean, it's an old bank. So
right.
It wears and tears on them. But
so things got to be carried in and out.
Yeah.
So it's pretty difficult, but get used to it. Just take your time.
I mean, 10 years.
No rush.
So
yeah.
Keeps you young.
Make you stronger.
Yeah.
No, after you get a certain age, it just beats you down. It wears you down over time. But yeah, it's nice to keep active though, because I think if it was on a level floor, I wouldn't have to work as hard. That's for sure.
No.
But luckily I do, and I'm still healthy at this point.
What makes you guys unique then to the industry?
Yeah, well, we were the first one in our small town. Now there's 2 others right across the way. So we were unique in pulling the trigger in that area just because it hadn't been done there before. When we first started, we were unique being a husband and wife team, because usually it was like a group of guys.
Yep.
So that was unique. I think our community made it, I don't want to say risky, because we did a lot of homework before we even pulled the trigger, because we didn't want to put, I mean, we were married, we just had our first child and then decided to have another one. We didn't want to like be risky with our lives. But once we opened, what makes us unique now is our community. Like our locals, our regulars, they are so amazing. They have become, they call it Fetch family. We call it Fetch family too, but like they take vacations together. They didn't even know each other before Fetch opened. They just have each other's backs. They have our backs. That's what makes us unique. And we can't take credit for that. It's kind of one of those, if you build it, they will come. If you're lucky, and we got lucky.
I know a couple of other breweries in the area where I live that are small and then built in a small town as well. And I think there was initially maybe some hesitation, it's like, oh gosh, another bar is opening up, more, alcohol. And I think that once people realize that the craft industry brings, I mean, a really very specific group of people in, you don't get the derelicts. You get the people who really just want to, like you said, build community, to enjoy just having a pint of great crafted beer and chat about life and do life together. And that's what the craft breweries, I think, are becoming these days. They're now the local gathering places for people who really want to build that.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we've always said. We're a community gathering place. You don't have to drink beer, you don't have to like beer, you don't have to whatever, just come and enjoy. We've had a knitting group come once a week. We have a strong cycling group. We have a running group. All sorts of special events have happened there.
It's a big social gathering.
Yeah, it really is. I love it.
A lot of nice people.
I think at one point there was a 10-year-old's birthday party in our back room.
I think there was.
Just because of our because of our proximity to the town sledding hill right behind us. So hot chocolate for everyone.
Right.
Get a lot of kids in there.
Yeah, we do.
Awesome. And I like the fact that it's family friendly as well. I think it helps people in a number of different ways. First of all, they can see their parents responsibly enjoying some beer, but then it also makes so that the parents don't always have to hire a babysitter when they go out to have a beer someplace as well. So kudos to you guys for doing that.
Yeah, since we have kids, it was an easy thing. I know it's kind of frowned upon in some locales. There's kids in here, I'm out of here. I don't want to go in a place where there's kids. Okay, yep, there's lots of other places.
Kids in our brewery, but oh well,
yeah,
that's okay.
It's always funny.
Somebody said if you don't have any bad Yelp reviews, you're not doing enough business. So that's fair.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the name of the brewery. Clearly Fetch wasn't made because you're fetching grain and stuff from the basement all the time. What does Fetch really mean?
Yeah,
kind of a good story behind it. We both had other positions before this, of course, and we'd email back and forth, always trying to come up with names. One day she emailed me, how about Fetch? And I go, you mean the limnology scientific term for when wind passes over the water, it creates a wave. And she goes, no, I didn't know that was a thing. And I go, oh, that was one of my favorite classes was limnology, instead of inland lakes. And I always loved that term.
He's a natural resources management major. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Applying my degree
Uh-huh.
to the brewery. And and so she goes, no, it was a combination of my aunt and uncle's name that raised us.
Floyd and Gretchen. Yeah.
Floyd and Gretchen.
Yep.
And story behind that is that, not to get too dramatic, but when I was little, I think I was maybe a year and a half old, my father passed, and I was 3. I was single, and who helped was my aunt Gretchen and Uncle Floyd. And they took us 3 kids for years everywhere. And it was so helpful. It meant a lot.
That's cool. That's really an awesome
Easy
story.
choice.
Yeah. So when I told him it was from Floyd and Gretchen, he was like, oh, yeah. But then also, once I found out that description of fetch, that it's the distance that wind travels over open water in order to create a wave, and then our proximity to the lake and everything, I was like, well, that's kind of perfect. And we wanted it to be, like a strong word, visually, it's got a T in the middle. It's just all those marketing things.
5 letters.
Yeah, 5 letters. It all kind of worked. And we also liked that it could have multiple meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one we did not anticipate was the Mean Girls Association. Like, that's so fetch, and quit trying to make fetch happen and all that stuff.
That's a little too young for me.
That was interesting.
Same. I had to explain it to him.
I remember seeing the movie, but it was...
Yeah, we have disappointed many young women who come up to us very excitedly asking if we named it after Mean Girls. And when we say no, that would be silly. You can see the disappointment in there.
What a good business plan. Let's make it after a subpar young girl movie.
It's called Mean Girls because that's what we want.
Yeah, Mean Girls. Take this beer, you so-and-so. We're like 100 yards from 2 or 3 marinas right on the water. And so there's a lot of boaters that come up. A lot of them understand what a fetch is.
Well, I think you need to either get a good sour beer and name it Mean Girls, or maybe a double IPA that has 100 IBUs.
Take some of that enamel off your teeth.
Yeah, I did get a email, and then phone call from a gentleman in New York City who was very adamant at reaching out to me, very consistent. And finally we connected, and he wanted a box of merch, a box of swag to give to his neighbor, Tina Fey, because she wrote it. So, and I'm a huge Tina Fey fan. She's my girl crush. So I was like, absolutely. So that was fun.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So you mentioned you've got kind of like a 23 by 75 space. So how many does that seat then in your facility?
It's so weird back then. It holds legally we're supposed to, fire department, I think it's 77 seating capacity, but it's such a weird layout because everything was so small back then. So there's all these segmented small little rooms. And so, I mean, we even made the vault, the penny lounge.
Or it can get crazy in there where it's hard to maneuver.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So it holds quite a few people.
Well, that's awesome. So the Penny Lounge, I think that's just a great name. So do you have food there at the brewery?
So we've been food friendly for 10 years. Well, we're going on 10 years in September. We've been food friendly, and we spent a very long time educating the public that this is a thing and it's okay, and you can absolutely bring food in and don't feel weird. We always wanted to rely on the restaurants around us and food trucks, but we're kind of in a food desert in our area. There's not a lot of restaurants around, and there's not a lot of restaurants that have stuck around. So we finally, just before 2020, we were going to pull the trigger on a kitchen, and then COVID happened. And so we pivoted. We just, over the summer, we built out the kitchen, and in November, we just opened it up. So we do now have a small kitchen, very new to us. We're still in our learning curve. We're only open Thursday through Sunday right now. We'll be open 7 days a week in the spring and summer. But yeah, huge learning curve, but we're still food friendly. We have spent, almost 10 years educating people that it is okay to bring your food in. And then they finally embraced it and love that about us. And so we have a large group that was not happy to hear that we were going to have a kitchen coming in, but we're staying food friendly. Our town grows exponentially in the summertime, mostly people from Chicago area. when they come in, they want to eat. And it's crazy how many people in the summertime, spring and summer, that the first 10 people who walk through our door walk right back out because they are looking for food.
Yep.
So this will be the first summer that we can accommodate that.
Should be different.
Yep. I'm a little freaked out about it.
Yeah.
But
crazy. It'll be crazy.
Yeah, it's okay.
And for those that don't know, I mean, the west side of Michigan just explodes because of just the great lake experience you have there. The view is fantastic. The amount of things you can do on Lake Michigan are just, I mean, it's incredible. So if you ever get a chance to head to the west coast of Michigan to experience the lake, you should do that. But at least you have the winter months to kind of refine that before summer hits, right?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah, we did that by design. We wanted that buffer period to learn, get our feet under us and everything before the spring and summer hit.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, you've been doing this for, you said 10 years. That's pretty awesome. So, learning something new along the way is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Nope, not at all.
Will you have a seasonal menu, or is it going to basically be the same?
It's going to be seasonal. We have a lot of really great farms and farmers around us. So, and farmers markets. So we want to do whatever is in season and locally grown, all that stuff. Our first menu that we had out is what we're still working on, but that's giving us a really good feel for what's selling a lot and what's not moving. So we have a pretty good handle on what the spring and summer menu will look like. And it's sandwiches. We don't have a fryer. We don't have a grill, any of that stuff. So it's fresh sandwiches, potato salad or a power slaw for a side. We've got power bowls, salads, and then our nachos are going over really well also. And our shareable trays, there's like a veggie hummus tray that's going over really well. Our nacho tray, things like that. Basically charcuterie stuff.
Okay.
Ever changing.
Yeah. Well, and of course, once you get your summer clientele in, that may also change based on them as well, right? So you'll have to kind of, like you said, pivot and adjust and see what that brings.
Yeah. We're always flexible. We've never dug our heels in and said, nope, this is what the people want, but we don't. Like, that'd be silly.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain things you do have to kind of stand your ground on as far as your principles and things go and business model. But yeah, you've got to flex and change. And I mean, the whole point of being in business is to make money, and you got to put food on your own table. So
right.
It is definitely a business. It's actually a business. Yes.
During the winter months, I mean, so you're only doing 4 days currently. Do you find that a challenge business-wise, or does it work out pretty well that way?
Well, the brewery is open 7 days a week.
Oh, okay. Just the kitchen is closed. All right.
The kitchen has the truncated schedule right now.
Got it.
But the brewery is definitely open, and we do well. I mean, we cover our expenses and everything. Just before we opened, another business in the area, a restaurant that's been around forever and is really held in high regard. We know the owners of that business, and she gave me some great advice and just said, let your summer income get you through the winter. And I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Make hay in the summer.
Yep. My grandpa said make hay while the sun shines.
Yes. And her other piece of advice was, it's not your customer's responsibility to keep you in business. It's yours. Like,
that is great advice. So do you have space out front in the summertime then as well for some spillover for patrons, or is that not usable?
Yeah, unfortunately, we're right on a business highway, a cut through from the highway. So that road's all a state highway, basically. So we have a sidewalk
along the side of our building, the length of our building.
Yeah, the length of the building is where we get to have all our seating, which can accommodate quite a few people.
Yeah, sometimes a little too many. That's what we're dealing with right now because the sidewalk is city owned. So, to have that out there, we also have to have permission from the city council, whoever's the current city council. And we do still have some people continuously on city council who don't understand the community gathering spot. They just see it as like a bar or alcohol. Yep. And so it's always a 4-3 split as to whether or not we can keep that outdoor seating. And right now, I mean, we're still on the positive side, so that's good.
It's a little tight.
It is.
Last call.
It's nearly time to wrap things up, but first, one more for the road. This episode, I'm drinking Peacherine Dry Hop Pseudo Sue from Toppling Goliath Brewing in beautiful Decorah, Iowa. From the brewer, Pseudo Sue variant featuring peacherine hop. Ferocious aromas of peach and tangerine give a refreshing taste that is bright with just enough bite. Without further delay, Peacherine Pseudo Sue is a 5.8% ABV American Pale Ale. Well, for those that may not be aware, Pseudo Sue is one of those premier pale ales that just takes it to the next level. It is certainly one of the first American pale ales that were hoppy that I just really went crazy over. I'm happy to try this as well because it is dry hopped with a variety that I've never heard of and never tried before. So I poured this out into a pint glass from one of my favorites, Fetch Brewing in Tampa, Florida. When I poured it out, there was a big aroma of peach and nectarine that just oozed from the glass. It's definitely stone fruit forward. Not surprisingly, like the original, it pours a pale gold color. And unlike any pale ale I've ever had before, it is hazy. You cannot see through it at all. Alright, so first sip impression here. Wow. So this definitely takes after the original. It has a nice hoppy bite right from the start. My goodness. Once you get past that initial hop bitterness, there is a nice nectarine, peach forward flavor. It has, I would say, a medium-bodied mouthfeel. That is so delicious. Again, another great refreshing beer from Toppling Goliath. As I'm processing this even further, that hop bitterness that hits you on the front really lingers there on the tongue. It almost gives you kind of a tingly vibe on the tongue. It's really crazy. I guess I'm going to call that a bit of an effervescent kind of reaction on the tongue. I like it. It certainly bridges the gap between Pale Ale and India Pale Ale. I really think it's got its feet in both camps. I would almost more lean towards this being classified as a New England IPA, just simply because it has so much juicy hop character, and it is massively hazy. So after that first initial sip, I get that nice hop bitterness, a lot of citrus, a lot of juicy fruit. Certainly, I get that peach and that nectarine. It's very vibrant, just very exciting on the tongue, I will say. That bitterness also at the end, it's clever. It makes you want to go back in for more, even though you know that you're going to get bit right up front one more time. But another solid variant from the Pseudo Sue series. So I would give this one 4 tasters out of 5 on the flight board. Cheers, Toppling Goliath Brewing. If you've got a beer you'd like me to drink and describe, leave a comment below. If you're a brewer and have one in mind, direct message me on Instagram and let's see what we can do. Well, that's all for this episode of the 5 Beer Plan. With so many podcasts out there, thanks for choosing to listen to mine. Join me next time as I start up my latest homebrew adventure, finish my conversation with Jen and Dan from Fetch Brewing, and review another beer. Remember to hit the subscribe button to be notified of new episodes. I'd love to hear from you, so please follow me on Instagram, 5 Beer Plan 2022, and leave a comment to let me know what your favorite beer with peacherine is. Be sure to support your local breweries, choose your beers wisely, and drink them responsibly. Until next time, keep walking your ale trail, and stay thirsty, my friends.